Hello, I'm going to read from our 7 Habits of Happy Kids, our next story called Pokey and the Spelling Test. And I believe I talked about this last week, or this week in your announcements, about first things first and about keeping things important, doing things that are important first and to not procrastinate. So let's see what happens with Pokey. One Monday, Pokey sat in class watching Miss Hoot write 6 words on the blackboard. Play, fun, have, for, you, drum. These words will be on Friday's spelling test, said Miss Hoot. Be sure you study every night and then you'll spell these words just right. After school, Pokey went home and took a nap. Ding dong, someone was at the door. It was Sammy. Hiya, Pokey, said Sammy. Do you want to go to the dump and look for some gadgets? Pokey knew he should study, but going to the dump sounded like more fun. Sure, said Pokey. When they got there, Pokey saw an old drum. He thumped it lightly. Dum, 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 dum. Awesome, said Pokey. He carried the drum home. He played it for the rest of the afternoon. On Tuesday, Lily, Skunk, and Tagalong Allie stopped by Pokey's house. Allie and I just made some chocolate chip cookies. They're so yummy, said Lily. Want to try some? Said Allie. What? Said Pokey. Do you want to try some? Said Lily. I have to study for my spelling test, said Pokey. But I guess I can do that later. So off he went to Lily's house. When Pokey got back, he played his drum. Then he played his harmonica. Then he fell asleep. On Wednesday afternoon, Pokey went on a butterfly hunt with Goob, and on Thursday afternoon he took a bicycle ride with Jumper. When he got home, he remembered that the spelling test was the next day, and he hadn't studied even one word. He took out his spelling cards and he taped them to the wall. Play, fun, have, for, you, drum. Pokey tried to write them down, but the letters swam in front of him like fish. There were too many words to learn in just one night. The more Pokey tried to memorize them, the more confused he got. He finally gave up and went to sleep. The next day, Pokey failed the test. He spelled every word wrong, except for drum. What happened? Asked Miss Hoot. Didn't you study? I know you could have done better. I kept finding other things to do, said Pokey. Sophie was standing nearby. You shouldn't procrastinate, she said. Huh? Said Pokey. I mean, you should have put first things first, said Sophie. Done your homework first, then had fun later. Miss Hoot agreed. She told Pokey he could take the test again next Friday. And this time, don't wing it, she said. Pokey went home. He looked at his new drum. Dum, 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 he heard in his head. He looked at his spelling words. Play, fun, have, for, you, drum. Ding dong, someone's at the door. It was Sophie. I came to help you study, she said. They worked for a whole hour without stopping once. Ding dong, someone else was at the door. It was Jumper. Want to play baseball, he said. Can't, Jumper, said Pokey. I'm studying. You're what? Studying, said Pokey. That's cool, said Jumper. Catch you another time, and off he ran. Pokey studied a little bit each day. On Friday, he took the test again. Fur and feathers, said Miss Hoot. You got a perfect score. Pokey's quills poked out all over. He wanted to thank Sophie. He went home and got his drum. He took it to her house and left it with a note. For you, play drum, have fun. Love, Pokey. All right, so habit 3 is put first things first. Work first, then play. It's funny how sometimes we will spend 30 minutes complaining about chores and not realizing that they could have been completed in the amount of time we spent complaining. Go figure. Instead of putting first things first, indeed, putting first things first is hard. In fact, of all the habits, this is the hardest one to keep. Why? because we're all somewhat addicted to doing the urgent thing or the easier thing first. Yet if we don't teach each other how to teach you to delay gratification and do the hard thing or first thing first while you're young, then you may learn too late or not at all. In this story, it's awful when you feel like you're procrastinating and you put things off. It feels bad inside. Like when Pokey crammed the night before the test. That may seem fine and that you're prepared at the time, but he was very stressed out. And so that's not a good thing, because you don't want to stress yourself out, because it makes it harder to remember what you're trying to learn. Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. So here are some discussions, questions. Why did Pokey put off studying for his spelling test? And what did he do instead? Number 2. How did Pokey feel the night before the first test? 3. What does procrastinate mean? What does procrastinate mean? What did Sophie teach Pokey about procrastination? 4. How did Pokey feel after he studied all week and aced his spelling test? 5. Why is it so important to put first things first? So here are some baby steps for you to think about. What are some of your most important jobs or responsibilities? Is it practicing the piano? Is it making your bed? Doing your homework? Taking out the garbage? Talk about those with your parents or the people that you live with, your guardians, and talk about those responsibilities. Tomorrow, surprise them and do your chores before they even ask. I always tell my kids, it would be nice to come home and have things done and not have to tell them to do that, because they always say to me, well, you never asked me to. Well, I remember my mom saying to me, I shouldn't have to ask you. You should know and see when it needs to be done to get it done. So that is always a nice thing when you do chores without being asked. Next time you have a lot of homework, do the hardest thing first, because then everything else will come a lot easier and you'll get done faster. Think of something you've put off for a long time, like cleaning up your room, pumping that tire on your bike, or fixing that broken dresser drawer. And when you get home, do it and get it done. Put first things first. Work first, then play. Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. Hope you enjoyed the story.